Here's a look at the day's headlines.
Island-wide curfew will end at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Government says the state of emergency and the curfew have been imposed to ensure peace, public life and public safety. 664 individuals arrested for violating the curfew in the Western Province. Prime Minister instructs to reduce the power shedding period with the acquisition of fuel stocks at present. SJB and JVP engage in protest despite the curfew. No confidence motion against the Pakistan Prime Minister rejects. Australia secures the Women's One-Day International Championship.
Starting off with news just in, the Prime Minister's office has confirmed that the reports circulating on various media platforms claiming that the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa is stepping down from his position are baseless. The office of the Prime Minister has rejected such claims shared on media and informed that no such plans are yet to be made in this regard. Now on to our leading story for today. The curfew, which was imposed from 6 p.m. yesterday, will end at 6 a.m. tomorrow. The Police Media Division says that 664 people have been taken into custody from 10 p.m. last night to 6 a.m. this morning, only from the Western Province.
That's right, Sharon, and the police have said that the law will be severely enforced during the curfew imposed period, and the Gazette notification was issued yesterday preventing gatherings at public places. The island-wide curfew imposed at 6 p.m. yesterday will end at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Accordingly, a public state of emergency was declared in the country and the relevant Gazette notification was issued recently. The curfew has been enforced under the powers vested with the President in accordance to the provisions of the Public Security Ordinance. The Department of Government Information, issuing a statement, said that the government reiterates that emergency regulations and curfew have been invoked with the sole intention of ensuring peace and safety of public life and public and private property. The government is equally bound to protect the freedom of expression, right to peaceful protest, as well as a right to live in peace and public and private property. It has been proven by action during the past period of over 2 years. No baton charges, tear gas canisters and water cannons were allowed on peaceful demonstrations and protest march after the current president came to power. On certain occasions, representatives of the protesters were invited to the President's office for discussion and to resolve the issues. Even a separate demonstration site has been allocated adjacent to the Presidential Secretariat for protesters. Certain groups behaved violently during the protest organized at the Mirihana last Thursday, March 31st, causing damage to public and private property and injury to some people. The property made has been estimated at 39 million rupees. Emergency regulations and curfew were invoked later in compliance with the stipulated legal provisions in order to protect human life, peace and public and private property. Members of the institutions which conduct essential services during the curfew enforced period can produce their institutional identity card or recognized e-documents to report for respective duties. Passengers arriving from and to their airports can produce their air tickets as curfew permits. Also, members of the diplomatic services can produce their respective identity cards as curfew permits as well. Police Media Division has said that a total of 664 persons have been taken into custody during 10 p.m. last night to 6 a.m. today for violating the curfew in the Western Province. Operations are underway to arrest curfew violators. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa issued a Gazette notification preventing the gatherings of groups of individuals at public places last night. Accordingly, gatherings in public roads, railways, public parks, public grounds or other public areas and coastal line related to these areas has been prohibited. Hatton and Anathani police took steps to provide the opportunity for the pilgrims who have already visited the Sripa, the sacred site, to return to their residences amidst the imposed curfew period. Accordingly, curfew permits were issued for those who had arrived at the sacred site in personal vehicles, and those who had used public transport services were returned to their respective areas in Hatton SLTB depot buses. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Transport Board has said that the buses will be deployed for essential services during the curfew imposed period. Telecommunication Regulatory Commission took steps to temporarily interrupt the social media networks to prevent the spread of hate speech which could rile up the society. And meanwhile, the Samagi Janabalawege, led by the opposition leader and Janata Vimukti Peramuna, had organized several protests today despite the enforced curfew in the country. Samagi Janabalawege, engaging in a protest march, attempted to enter the Independence Square premises. However, the police prevented the protesters from entering the area. The Samagi Janabalawege engaged in the protest action as a gazette notification had been issued preventing gatherings and meetings in public places. Janata Vimukti Peramuna also engaged in a protest at the Maharagama Junction and marched up to their party office in Maharagama, violating the island-wide curfew.
Students in several universities made the attempt to engage in protests made amidst the enforced curfew period. The police have said that minimum force was used to disperse the crowds. A group of youth conducted a protest march from Sri Jayavarthanapura University to Vijayarama Junction. Reports have indicated that roadblocks were placed near the Vijayarama Junction and the crowd engaged in the protest action, avoiding the road-blocked area. A group of youth in Maharagama area engaged in a protest action while singing songs despite the curfew. Thousands of students of the Peradeniya University attempted to march towards Kandy city yesterday in protest, yet the police prevented this effort at the Galaha junction using road barriers. Subsequently, the group managed to break the roadblocks this afternoon and took the effort to march towards Kandy city again, but the police averted this attempt using tear gas and water cannons.
Migrant workers inquire whether those who are engaging in protest in foreign countries over the economy of Sri Lanka are individuals from the country who have sent their remittances through legal means. Protests were organized in several countries today over the present situation in the country. Many Sri Lankans living abroad have taken part in these protests. Remittances is considered as one of the main foreign exchange earning avenues in the country. Remittance payments made through the local banking system contribute vastly of the foreign exchange earnings in the country. However, foreign currency transactions outside the banking system with the aim to obtain a higher value for the dollar have become a major contributing factor to the present economic crisis situation in the country.
In other stories, religious leaders and civil society activists emphasized that unorganized protest campaigns would not fulfill public expectations. They pointed out that such acts could lead to disastrous outcomes. Venerable Omalpe Sobitathera said that the youth who are engaging in such protests are either remanded or produced before courts while leaving their parents in agony. He said that organizing protests without a leadership or any organization would escalate the crisis situation. The public has to bear the cost for the damages caused on the public property. Therefore, he emphasized the importance in organized measures to guide the rulers towards the correct path. But he added that unorganized measures would only result in disastrous outcomes.
And meanwhile, State Minister Thuminda Didanayake says that short-sighted acts and measures may further escalate the crisis. He made these remarks during a discussion held with the Sri Lanka Freedom Party Bhikkhu activists. State Minister Thuminda Disanayake inquired whether the opposing entities would be able to resolve the existing issues in the country. He also said that these entities are taking the effort to chase out the government, which is actually attempting to resolve the prevailing issues and crisis. He said that the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has a responsibility to safeguard the nation and its people. Recently, Sharon, we were experiencing nearly a 13-hour power cut, and today we were experiencing only a 1 hour and 45 minutes. And Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed the Minister of Power to do any favour with regard to these power failures and power cuts, power shedding period, as required fuel stocks will be arriving at the country.
That's right. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa instructs Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi to reduce the power shedding period as required fuel stocks are in the process of receiving at present. Accordingly, steps were taken to reduce the power interruption period to 1 hour and 14 minutes from today. The Prime Minister has directed these instructions, pointing out the necessity to minimize the difficulties faced by the public with the increasing power interruption period. Accordingly, the power shedding for the zones of A, B, C, D, P, Q, R has been scheduled from 5:30 p.m. to 7:10 p.m. The power interruption for the zones of E, F, G, H, S, T, U will be from 7:10 p.m. to 8:50 p.m. and I, J, K, L, V, W zones will experience the power interruption from 8:50 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. The Public Utilities Commission has said that the power shedding period can be reduced considerably in the next couple of days with the acquisition of sufficient fuel stocks required for power generation. Meanwhile, Petroleum Corporation has said that steps have been taken to supply 3,500 metric tons of fuel on a daily basis to the Ceylon Electricity Board for power generation. The distribution of fuel was carried out as essential service during the curfew enforced period in the country.
Ministry of Education says schools which conduct term test will remain open from tomorrow until the 8th of April. The ministry has further indicated that there is no requirement for primary grade students to attend schools, and while academic and non-academic staffs would have been requested to report for duty. Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Perera, said that the students who are facing term test will be called for schools from tomorrow till April 8th. Accordingly, he said that only students in grades 6 to 13 in 5 provinces, including Western, North Central, Sabaragamu and Uva, will be subjected for term test, while students in the other 4 provinces will not have any examinations during this period. He said that this measure was undertaken following discussions with the Public Utilities Commission, Transport Ministry and Ceylon Electricity Board to avoid any hindrance on children to engage in their educational activities. He further said that academic and non-academic staff have to report for duty during this period until the school holidays announced on April 8th. He added that all educational activities related to students in northern, southern, eastern and northwestern provinces have been completed. Also, he said that no permission has been called to call students for primary grades in all provinces as their educational activities have been completed.
In other stories, a person has died after falling down from an electrical cable post this evening. The deceased has been identified as a 53-year-old electrician. The deceased individual had fallen from a high-tension post equipped with a transformer in the Midihana area and subsequently admitted to the Kalabovila hospital. He had succumbed upon admission to the hospital. The police have said that the deceased had been identified as a resident in Edrisinga Road area. The police suspect that the deceased was under the influence of alcohol at the time he climbed on the post. Midihana police will conduct further investigations over the incident.
55th National Rice Festivals was held at the Jayasri Mahabodhi sacred site in Anuradhapura today. The event was held with the hope of receiving blessings for the country to be self-sufficient with rice and prosperity. The religious rites and observances were conducted under the guidance of Chief Incumbent of Atamasthane, Venerable Dr. Pallegama Srinivasa Thera. Subsequently, the bowl set up in the front of the sacred Jayasri Mahabodhi was filled up with rice amidst chanting of Set Pirit by Mahasangha. It is an annual tradition to set aside and offer the first portion of the harvest of Maha season to Jayasri Mahabodhi. Farmers representing 9 provinces of the country offered various types of rice to the Jayasri Mahabodhi during this event. The traditional paddy seeds were distributed among agrarian organizations representing 9 provinces at the event. The National Nave Rice Festival was organized jointly by the Departments of Agriculture and Agrarian Services. Sharon, what comes to your mind when we talk about Nuwara Eliya?
Nuwara Eliya is tourist attraction, the place to be in April, and also love the cold climates.
And this time, the ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation also organizes the Sundara Nuwara Eliya Salalihini Vasante.
Many programs included for this year's edition of Sundara Nuwara Eliya Salalihini Vasante Festival. Many sites in Nuwara Eliya have been decorated in an attractive manner in an effort to promote the festival. Nuwara Eliya is considered one of the main tourist attractions in the country, and it is also a massive farmhouse which provides fresh vegetables and fruits throughout the year. Therefore, all in the country are encouraged to safeguard Sundara Nuwara Eliya for the future generations.
And meanwhile, a public meeting organized by the Janata Vimukti Peramuna was held in Vaunia area yesterday. Party leader Anurakumara Dissanayaka made remarks over the Yahapalana government during this period. The leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, said that the Yahapalana government under President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was formed in January 8 and managed to allow the bond scam to occur on February 28. He said that the many corruptions and irregularities occurred during this period. He added that the former presidents and their spouses continue to enjoy the benefits and privileges which they enjoyed during their tenures.
State Minister Kanaka Herath says that Ceylon tea has claimed the highest price tag for tea in the global market. He made these remarks while engaging in an observational tour at a tea factory in Pittigala area, Galle. State Minister Kanaka Herath said that the tea industry has been able to bring in a massive foreign exchange into the country. He said that Ceylon tea is considered as a top-grade tea which holds a great potential as well as a value in the World Tea Auction. He said that with the price increase, the farmers earn 150 rupees per kilogram of tea since last month. He said that this rate will increase in April.
සමගම අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපේ ගොවියාට මම හිතන්නේ මාර්තු මාසයේ වෙනකොට රුපියල් 150ක් පමණ කිලෝකට ලැබෙනවා. ඉතින් අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ වෙද්දී ඒක තවත් ඉහළට යයි කියලා තමයි හිතන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක තාමත් සතුටටපත් වෙන කාරණාවක්.
To bring you updates on Ukraine, do stay with us. On foreign news for today, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces say the intensity of the Russian air and missile strikes has decreased as Moscow continues to withdraw units through the north of Ukraine. In a Facebook post, the General Staff also said, reiterating Russian forces were deploying mines on roads and in some settlements. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says reiterating Russian troops are leaving behind landmines, creating a catastrophic situation. Civilians in Ukraine's Bucha province near the national capital Kyiv were found dead with their hands tied, Mikhail Podolyak, an advisor to the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, has said. About 300 residents have been killed on the outskirts of the Ukrainian capital during a month-long occupation by the Russian army, authorities have said, with the streets littered with corpses. Airstrikes have rocked Ukraine's strategic Black Sea port Odessa in the southwest. The blast set up at least 3 columns of black smoke. The attack comes as Russian forces appear to be withdrawing from the country's north. Anton, the advisor to the Interior Minister, wrote on his Telegram account that Odessa was attacked from the air. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned Russia for consolidating and preparing powerful strikes in the south, joining a chorus of the Western assessments that Moscow's troops were regrouping. Missiles have also hit critical infrastructure facilities in Odessa, the regional administration spokesperson has said. The Russian Defense Ministry has said that Moscow decided to open another humanitarian corridor in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol to evacuate civilians and foreign nationals at the request of Turkey's president. Moscow will provide full assistance in the evacuation of civilians and foreign citizens in accordance with the request to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, said the ministry.
And from Ukraine to Pakistan, Pakistan's president has dissolved the parliament, a step towards early elections following an attempt to remove PM Imran Khan from the office. And it comes after parliamentarians' deputy speaker refused to hold a vote of no confidence as the prime minister was expected to lose. Mr. Khan claims the US is leading a conspiracy to remove him because of his criticism of US policy and other foreign policy decisions he has taken. Opposition politicians ridiculed the allegation and the US has denied it. President Dr. Arif Alvi today dissolved the National Assembly on Prime Minister Imran Khan's advice under Article 58 of the Constitution. Earlier today, Prime Minister Imran, in an address to the nation, said that had advised the president to dissolve assemblies. The Premier's announcement came moments after National Assembly Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri, who was chairing today's session, dismissed the no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Imran Khan, terminating it a contradiction of Article 5 of the Constitution, which says loyalty to the state is the basic duty of every citizen. The government claims that no trust motion against the Premier was a foreign-funded conspiracy, citing a threatened letter that was received from a foreign country through Pakistan's ambassador asking for the removal of PM Imran. In his address today, the Prime Minister Imran congratulated the nation for the no trust motion being dismissed, saying the Deputy Speaker had rejected the attempt of changing the regime and the foreign conspiracy. Prime Minister Imran said that billions of rupees that had been spent to buy lawmakers' voters would be wasted and advised those who had taken money to donate it to the orphanages and the poor. Mr. Khan said that no corrupt forces will decide to the future of the country will be.
And now to bring you a little lighter news. Stray cats are beloved animals in Turkey, where they freely roam the streets. Some hang out at butcher shops and others find shelter in mosques. At a school in the western Turkey, a stray cat was found in a new home in a classroom. Adopted by students at a primary school, it has quickly turned into their school's beloved mascot. Students at a primary school in Turkey are enjoying taking care of a cat. A group of students at a school asked for permission to adopt the friendly cat, who they found on a nearby street by a school teacher and school's principal. When they got the needed permission, a local veterinarian gave the cat all the necessary vaccinations to avoid any ailments. The cat, who is named Sleepyhead, is fed and taken care of by the students and likes to spend her day dozing in the sun, playing with the students during recess. During class, she eats, plays, sits on a warm radiator and even claims a spot to sleep on students' desks.
Creamer Kottumi, hot and spicy නව වසරක් වේවා.
And to bring you sports news now, on the leading story, it seems to be like a celebration at Christchurch as Australia won the 7th ICC International Women's Cricket Championship, and they played against England.
Yes, Sharon, Australia was able to clinch their 7th ICC Women's World Cup Championship today, and they became able to after defeating England by 71 runs in their finals held at Christchurch. Winning the toss, England invited Australia to bat first. Accordingly, Australians were able to score 356 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in their stipulated 50 overs. Putting up a brilliant batting display in the Australian innings, Alsa Hayred scored 170 runs in 138 deliveries. She became the highest run getter in this year's World Cup Championship with 509 runs. It is also the highest runs scored in a World Cup champion in history. Chasing the mammoth target of 357 runs, England won, only able to score 285 runs in 43 overs after losing all their wickets in the run chase.
Mooney still looking to put some runs on.
Thrashes it behind point, the first boundary for England.
Nat Skyver scored 148 runs for the English innings. Alana King and Jess Jonathan picked up 3 wickets each for Australians.
Use of the feet. It's hanging in the air. Will this end the partnership? Yeah. Catch it.
Backing back, backing back. That's the catch. The 5-year master plan has come to fruition for Australia. They have what they came for. It's the World Cup title.
Now that's in Christchurch, and we're crossing over to Mumbai now to bring you the latest on IPL. Rajasthan Royals was able to secure a victory against Mumbai Indians in an Indian Premier League match held yesterday. The match was played in Mumbai. Batting first, Rajasthan Royals was able to score 193 for the loss of 8 wickets. Josh Butler scored 100 runs in 68 deliveries with 5 sixes in his innings. And Bumrah and Mills picked up 3 wickets each for the Mumbai. Rajasthan Royals was able to restrict Mumbai Indians to a score of 170 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their 20 overs. Varma scored 61 runs while Ishan Kishan scored 54. Navdeep and Yushwendra picked up 2 wickets each. Rajasthan Royals won the match by 23 runs.
That's a full toss and it goes straight to the man at mid-wicket.
Myself to take you through the crunch through the offside.
The match between Gujarat Titans and Delhi Capitals was held in Pune yesterday. Batting first, Gujarat Titans was able to score 171 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their 20 overs. Gill scored 84 runs chasing the target as Delhi Capitals only able to score 154 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Rishabh Pant scored 43 runs. Lockie Ferguson picked up 4 wickets for the Titans.
What they're trying to stop is that, and they can't stop that.
Bottom hand.
One. Oh, that is a peach. What a beautiful piece of flight.
He's down the ground, but picks out the field a second time. It took a second time. Heaved away. What a shot. But they're up against Mohamed Shami. There is simple catch taken. What a start for Hardik Pandya. Early break. Whipped away leg side. Right in the air. There's a fielder there.
And yeah.
Creama Kottumi hot and spicy නව වසරක් වේවා.
That's it. That's a look at Rupavahini News for tonight. Join us tomorrow at 8:50 p.m. Together with Charita, I'm Sharon, wishing you a very pleasant evening.